my mother was quite a character. And when she was descended upon by all her girls coming home from college or relatives for some family event, her saying was, love to see him come, love to see him go. And isn't it the way we are about snow? Love to see it come, and then love to see it go. Especially in Missouri, because we're not quite set up so much for the snow. So, I was going to start out by describing the exact same things that Laura was talking about. You know, so many of us have memories about snow. And the best part of it was when there was a snow day. And I feel so badly for today's digital, fancy, instant world, because kids don't get to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and turn on the television and look at the scroll line at the bottom to say, oh, is Parkway going to be closed? Which school district is going to be closed? And then you got to have a whole snow day all to yourself to play. No more teachers, no more books. I mean, it was just like, it was, because it was out of the blue. It was just a bonus. It was just so wonderful. And today's kids, well, now you can go to school on your computer. So sad. Yes. So sad. But so efficient. So I think that's I just wanted to share a couple of observations about snow, because there are some wonderful things about snow, and I think there are some spiritual lessons to be learned when we think about snow. And probably the first one, which Laurel mentioned, was just the opportunity to pause. Just the opportunity to be still. We spend so much of our lives running around to this and opportunities to do this, and our minds are consumed with so much information that we have coming at us all day long. And a snow day just interrupts all of that. It would have even been better if the snow day had been on a Friday. And then we would have 3 days. But it was very convenient because it arrived on a Saturday, so we didn't interrupt that many things. But it's just so interesting. It is a pattern interrupt. It gives us permission to jump out of all the obligations. And how much of our life is spent going to this and doing that, and we tend to forget that these are all things we've chosen. And we treat them as though they're obligations, and suddenly you get to jump out of those obligations. So I think that's one of the things that makes snow days sort of special, is it's a pattern interrupt. It's an opportunity for us to just stop. And certainly as spiritual followers, in whatever way we are being spiritual, the opportunity to stop is so important. That's why we come here. And that's why those of us who are stopping everything and watching us on YouTube or whatever, just stopping for a while, to pause and to be still. Because just exactly as Laura was saying, that is when we can hear what God is trying to tell us. Whether you say it's God, Spirit, the universe, it happens in stillness. And for me, that stillness, I can remember as a child, waking up on a snowy morning and be so quiet. Everything is sort of muffled. And even there would be cars. Now, I woke up back in the day when people had actually used snow chains on their tires. And even the snow chains were sort of muffled as they drove past, bump, 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 as they drove past the house. So that sense of peace and that sense of quietness, so important, because Spirit can only speak to us when we are being still. And so often we thirst for more spirit to come into our life and more inspiration, but instead we're busy running around, being busy all the time, which is why it is so important. Meditation, being still, whatever practice we do, that is probably the most important part of being a spiritual person in this world today. Taking the time to be still so that we can become, and I'm going to use the word self-aware. We use consciousness so much, I think it gets bandied around that it sort of loses its real meaning, but self-awareness. Self-awareness is the greatest gift that we've been given by God. To be present in this world and to be aware, and to be aware of our thoughts. We are self-aware beings. That is our greatest gift. And yet so much of our lives, we run around in patterns, doing the same things, making the same complaints, liking the same, we so little time do we give ourselves, so little opportunity to try new things, to stop and to savor. And at my stage in life, I'm 83 years now, one becomes aware of how important it is to savor life, because it's not going to last forever. So one of my intentions at the beginning of this year, I'm not the greatest meditator, I am a journaler. And that is what helps me to get in touch with myself. And a lot of times my journaling will just be about, rumbling about what I did yesterday and what worked and what didn't work. But I started this year with a special intention of wanting to live my life with more awareness every single day. Now, there's many different spiritual practices, but I want to share one thing with you that I discovered this year. This is my new hobby. So, now, I started out the year with this intention that I wanted to be present in each day, really be aware of each day. So, the new practice that I started, after I do the dishes, I will walk back to my studio and I get out this. This is an art journal. So, what it is a fun place to play with inks and with washi tape and pens, and I draw little pictures, and there's, here and there, I'm sure, gold stars. And gold stars are for every little thing I did that took that extra little push. I call them brave things. Because it's so often so easy to just fall back and put things off or wait till tomorrow and then tomorrow and then tomorrow and never get around to doing them. Which just means we're just putting off life. Putting off life. At the end of the day, let's see, I can probably even find the snow. I'm sure that here's the snow day. I have little snowflakes everywhere. I have a little snow village down here. All I can tell you is that doing this, it's not like writing serious journaling. It is marking the little pleasures, the little events, the tiny things of the day that have meaning, so it doesn't just slip by. Now, for some people, doing a gratitude journal is sort of the same methodology. For me, this was just more playful and fun. And I actually look forward to decorating the pages and all this kind of stuff. And I'm going to actually, I'm going to have a workshop, I think, sometime this winter. I'm going to have to talk to Miss Cassidy about it so that we can schedule it. But I'm going to do a fundraiser. Anybody who wants to learn about this and how to do it, you're going to come to my house. I'm going to supply the supplies and we will do it. But the whole point of it is when we have the opportunity to stop, when we have the opportunity to pause, we can live life deeply, much more deeply, and much more with intention, and savoring each moment, because it's precious. And so often we let it slip through our fingers with distraction. We run here, we run there. All the little digital distractions and all that sort of thing. So, the quiet of winter and the quiet of the snow is certainly a big spiritual lesson. We all need quiet. We all need time for reflection. We all need time to just let go and play so that inspiration and new awareness can come in instead of running around like little bees, busy, busy, busy all the time. The second thing, and Laurel also mentioned this, to me, but I look at it slightly differently. To me, there's a huge delight. You get up in the middle of the night when it's snowing, and all of a sudden you look around in the room, and there is snow light that comes into the house from the reflections of the snow, from the street lamps, from the moon or whatever's out there. But there's this wonderful illumination of snow light everywhere, and it's so special. I love that. So, what happens with this, with snow and with the snow light, is that literally everything is the same, but suddenly we have the opportunity to see it in a different way. We have a new perception of our surroundings. That snow light we're still living in the same place. And one of the interesting observations that one might make is the fact that the conditions haven't really changed that much, but all of a sudden everything looks the difference. It looks completely different. And it's one of the reasons why we need to stop and why we need to cultivate the practice of self-awareness in whatever form it might take, whether it's meditation, playful journaling, gratitude at the end of the day, whatever it is. Because as a result of this self-awareness, we have the opportunity to grab a new perspective, to look at our lives differently, to see new opportunities, to see new possibilities. I came across a really interesting observation from a person who is a business person who is listening, and I was listening to this podcast, and they were talking about time management. How many of us know somebody who's always going around, and maybe it's ourselves, saying, I just don't have enough time. I just don't have enough time to do anything. I do not have enough time. I would do this, but I just don't have enough time. And I want to do that, but I just don't have enough time. Well, this person said it's about our perception. It is not about the time. It's our perception. And this is what she had to say. There are, in each week, each 7-day week, 168 hours that we have to spend. Now, we're going to subtract 56, that's assuming those of us who actually sleep 8 hours a day, 56 hours for sleep, and say you work full time, 40 hours. If you subtract that 56 and the 40, you are left with 72 hours.
Wow.
72 hours a week that you could be doing what you want to do.
9 hours a day.
Doesn't that? And it's about intention. It's not about the time. 72 hours is a lot of time to get a lot of things done. But it is our perception about it. And it's our lack of intention that makes time just slip through our hands. So stopping and being still gives us the opportunity to set intention, to be more intentional with this gift of life. And I think that's so important, especially nowadays. It's so easy to get caught up in all the drama and the awfulizing about whatever else is going on in the world. But each one of us has an opportunity to be the peace that we want to see come in the world. And we do it by becoming intentional. And we become intentional by stopping, being still, and listening. God is always speaking to us. We're never really alone. We just don't stop to listen. So finally, the other thing that snow does, it softens everything. Everything is soft. We live in a world where so much is about willpower and pushing through and pressure and so on and so forth. But it's also equally important to remember that there is strength in gentleness. There is strength in softness. And one of the places where we need it the most, when we become still, is to learn to be tender with ourselves. We spend so much time berating ourselves. Well, I should have done this. It should have been that way. I should have done this. All this kind of business. Suppose we meet our own rough places with the same tenderness that the snow brings to this earth. It is so important, by being still, to wake up and realize how we are treating ourselves. How are we speaking to ourselves? Are we running around pushing ourselves all day long? Or are we being gentle with ourselves? What is our self-talk like? Probably the most difficult thing I have to teach people, especially people my age, when I go out and talk about tiny habits and this sort of thing, and my companies, Thrive After 65, is to learn to be their own cheerleaders. You know, that is the only reason that babies learn to walk. Why? Because when baby takes that first step, everybody goes crazy. Look, Johnny's learning how to walk. She's taking, get the camera. You know? And so baby's gonna fall down 1,000 times, but baby keeps going because he was encouraged. What about encouraging ourselves? What about speaking gently to ourselves? What about showing ourselves gently that there's other ways, there's new perspectives, giving ourselves the time to get the insight that the universe is trying to send us? Taking care of ourselves, being still, appreciating the softness, appreciating and giving ourselves that opportunity for new perspectives. What a gift that is. What a gift. Thank you.